Good morning. Welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder. This is BRN AM for Wednesday, July 7th, 2021. And our top story today, we're talking about financial wellness and helping employers and employees focus on what's important. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more is Sandy McCarthy. She's president of Retirement Services for One America. Sandy, it's so great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Oh, Jeffrey, it's so good to be with you today.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you. We're going to be talking about financial wellness. And I know you and the team at One America have done a lot of research on how people are feeling, how individuals are feeling post-COVID. What can you tell us about the research?
Yeah, Jeffrey, I'm really excited. I mean, if we get anything positive out of COVID, there certainly is an increased awareness on the part of the individual in terms of being financially prepared. And we've been working at that for many years in trying to help them to understand what it means to be financially prepared as they're thinking about retirement. And what it's done is it causes them to think about, how do I gain peace of mind? And so that's exciting for me if we can take anything good out of this pandemic experience. What we're seeing, Jeffrey, is two populations forming. One is one that is much more financially stable, and the other that is less financially stable. And I would say why that's important is it helps us to prepare for the future and how we engage with that individual. Financially stable, probably and mostly a result of the fact that they have not had a job loss. They're spending less during this COVID environment, so they're not traveling as much. They're not eating out as much. They're not using discretionary income the way that they had used it previously. Those that are less financially prepared have most likely experienced a job loss or reduced hours, and they may, in some cases, have experienced increased health expenses as a result of some pandemic activity. I would say the other exciting part of the equation is that the employer is becoming more interested. So we're seeing increased interest, so a renewed focus on making sure that individuals are financially prepared. So I'll point to a study. It's the Bank of America 2020 workplace study that indicates 63% of employers feel extremely responsible for their individual employees' financial wellness. And I think that's exciting because if we look and compare to their study in 2013, it was only 13%. So I love the convergence of the individual increased awareness as well as the employer increased awareness, because it helps us together solve this.
Yeah, and really interesting information here. And I love that you use the word convergence. I want to ask you and we're obviously talking about financial wellness, how does all this research really align with what we are calling holistic financial wellness?
So I think it's really interesting. The holistic financial wellness is really about where is the individual at a moment in time. So I talked about the two populations, and they really range, right, from, as I said, financially unstable to financially stable. What we're seeing, though, with both populations is that they are interested in education. So what is financial wellness? What should I be thinking about? What type of content do I need to understand? But they're also looking at individual preparation. What does it mean to me as an individual? How should I be thinking about this? So there's more individual planning that is happening. One of the things I think about is developing roadmaps for individuals and meeting them where they are. So I think of that as a life event. You may have two individuals with the same demographics, whether it's the same sex, the same age, the same salary levels, but they're not experiencing life in the same way. So if you think about the two diverse populations I just mentioned, we really need to meet them where they are at their motivation level and help them to understand and be prepared with content that applies and guide them through a productive path to help them make decisions. You know, I think of something we're doing here at One America is building personas. So it's really about where is that individual in their life event to help them consider all aspects of their planning. And the other part of it is being able to deliver that information to them the way they need it. So web, mobile, print, face-to-face. So any number of versions of that or a combination of those things apply.
And you mentioned your firm, One America. You're one of several prominent record-keeping service organizations out there looking to really help individuals achieve financial security. Where does the industry stand with taking a very complicated topic, because retirement is just this nebulous concept, and kind of breaking it down? And, you've got things like emergency savings, student loan debt, kind of taking this all and putting it all together so that people have a path forward of achieving retirement confidence.
Yeah, so you bring up a really great point, Jeffrey. When I think about it, again, going back to that idea of meeting individuals where they are, if you break it down into the populations we just discussed, if you think about those that are unstable in their financial development, they've lost some confidence in terms of being able to prepare themselves for retirement. So it gets us down to the basics. How do I think about my financials so I gain confidence once again, in planning and preparing? And I think of things like teaching individuals how to prepare for an emergency savings account. How do I pay back my loans or withdrawals if I took those out during the COVID environment? And how might I think about, we've had a lot of requests, how do I think about budgeting? So something that you might think is simplistic is really helpful in guiding those types of individuals. The other part of the equation is those who were more financially stable, I would say, are looking for advanced topics. When I think about the retirement business over the long haul, we had focused on accumulation, but what we're seeing is that individuals want to understand now not only the accumulation strategy, so gaining savings, but also the protection and the decumulation strategy so that they can prepare themselves for life. During COVID, we saw more demand for long-term care policies, and I think of that as a protection strategy. Life insurance, and again, that aligns nicely with what we're building here at One America and aligning to each of the personas. So where are you? Are you considering life insurance as a protection strategy, long-term care? And then how do I think about taking the money I've saved to be able to decumulate and have enough in retirement?
Yeah, well, certainly very important. All different life stages, really important to communicate and convey this information so people can make the best decisions possible. Sandy, we're going to have to leave it there. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program, and we look forward to having you back again very soon.
Certainly my pleasure, Jeffrey. Thanks so much. Great to see you.
Well, thank you, Sandy. And when we come back, we'll talk about the enhanced customer experience and what employers are talking about when it comes to financial wellness. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Are you stuck with a low credit score? A credit report and score that's causing you to be denied credit or pay higher interest rates than others for the same things? Then do what Terrence did and call Credit Repaired for your free credit evaluation to help restore your credit.
I started thinking about buying a new house, and my score wasn't where I needed it to be. I called and spoke with one of the representatives, and we just had a good conversation, and I liked what he was saying.
Just one call for his free credit evaluation was all it took to start back on the track to repairing his credit.
I'm seeing the deletions and I'm getting the report, so I know something's being done. It does make a difference to me.
All it takes is one call to get started.
Credit Repair has given me a second chance to have a better credit score.
Don't let a low credit score hold you back another day. Do what Terrence did and make the call for your free credit evaluation.
Call 800-819-4152. That's 800-819-4152. Again, 800-819-4152.
Welcome back. We're now joined by Sharon Scanlon, Senior Vice President, Head of Customer Experience and Producer Solutions for Lincoln Financial Group, and Rosh Kusino. He's a consultant for Highest Group. Sharon, Rosh, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us, Jeff.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you guys. And of course, we're talking financial wellness. This is a really important topic. And Sharon, I want to come to you first because you oversee the customer experience for Lincoln Financial Group. And how have you seen this experience evolve as it relates to financial wellness and financial experience?
Thanks for that. It's a topic I'm passionate about. You know, over the last 20 years, we've been very focused and continue to be focused on financial wellness, but it's certainly evolved in the last 5 years where plan sponsors have been asking us to treat financial wellness very similar to their health and wellness programs. So we started partnering, giving points towards healthcare premiums if you meet with a retirement consultant, communication and education programs, and then last but not least, digital solutions that can meet customers where they want to be met. It's not about the retirement plan for these consumers and these participants. It's about the trade-offs they make every day. So instead of taking a product-focused view, we take very much a customer-centric view and really use data and analytics to measure and drive outcomes.
Well, thanks for that, Sharon. And Rosh, you're a very well-known consultant, work for a very well-known consulting firm. What are your plan sponsors, your employers saying about financial wellness? Is this something that they're talking openly about?
Yes, it is. And, as Sharon just alluded to, it's a topic that comes up on a regular basis, more so than just a few years ago and with much more frequency than we've seen. And so it's very important to plan sponsors, and clients that we work with really see the value of financial wellness as in the solutions, some that Sharon just talked about, as tools for plan asset retention. And that's something that's so critical across all tax codes. We've seen it with Secure Act 1.0, potentially coming down the path with Secure Act 2.0. Legislators know that it's important to retain assets in these plans. What's one of the best ways to do that? It's to provide tools for participants to preserve that wealth and preserve that wellness. And so clients from all tax codes, have really, over the past couple of years, have said, it's so much more important to us to keep those assets in the plan. Why is it important? It's important for the participant because they're not going to see the kind of pricing that they get inside of their institutionally priced retirement plan on their own as a retail investor. So having a wellness tool within the plan is critical. And it's also important from the plan perspective to retain scale. So the next time that plan does go out to bid, they're not a shrinking plan, and great record keepers like Lincoln and some of the others that are out there can look at it and say, this plan continues to grow, continues to look for additional assets and gain assets so that they know that the plan growth will sustain itself. And, wellness will be a part of that as long as asset retention is there. And so I think those two topics, asset retention and wellness, really go hand in hand.
Yeah, and Sharon, coming back to you, I just want to build off of some of the remarks you mentioned about the customer experience, and you talk about healthcare premiums as an example. Is this a dramatic shift in terms of that participant experience? I mean, it sounds like you always been kind of doing this in some way, shape, or form, but is it a dramatic shift?
It is. Digitally, it's a dramatic shift about meeting customers where they want to be met. You know, the industry for years has been focused on the basics, which are the most important: getting in the plan, saving early, saving more for retirement, and then understanding what your gap would be in retirement. But for the average participant, you know, with the average age being around 42, in our book, retirement's a long way away. So where financial wellness comes into play is, what are those other barriers that are in the way of saving for retirement, and how do you break down financial wellness into snackable content that's positive reinforcement, so that is not such a daunting task. So instead of financial wellness now being a thing adjacent to the plan, we've incorporated it not only into how we talk to participants and plan sponsors, but how it shows up in the digital and communication education space.
Thanks, Sharon. And Rosh, you know, you talked about that there is an interest in financial wellness. When you're in a meeting, you're sitting in that quarterly meeting. We've all been there. They're a lot of fun. You're talking about investment performance, but you bring up financial wellness. What goes through? I know you can't read minds, but you're pretty good anyway. What goes through their mind when financial wellness is mentioned?
Yeah, I'll give some snackable content here. So I like that, Sharon, what you just said there. I think plan sponsors think of these terms: employees, education, resources. They need resources, and that's why they need great partners in terms of record keepers and consultants as well. But they think about retirement. And, you know, Sharon had mentioned it earlier. I think so many plan sponsors, I just had a meeting today where they're looking to build a bridge between health benefits and retirement benefits. And they're using wellness as that bridge to link those two very important benefit components for employees. And so I like the idea too of snackable content, because I think as more and more plan sponsors try to figure out how do we close that attention to action gap, right? So you have all that great content, you can tell employees what to do until you're blue in the face, but they got to do it, right? So you got to drive those outcomes, you know, as Sharon mentioned earlier. And so, you know, we talk to our plan sponsors. What are you doing? And I'll just give you a quick example here, Jeff. I've got one client that's doing a 10-day financial wellness challenge. And so they're doing it during National Retirement Security Month, which comes in October. And they're saying to the participants, okay, each day for the next 10 days, this will occur in October, here are things that you can do to earn points. You can update your beneficiary. You can attend a webinar. You can use the app. You can get the app. You can set up an account online, create an account, increase contributions, and then they get points. And then they can use those points for gift cards or whatever it may be, but they're working hand in hand with their record keeper. And what's going to happen, and this is where we get excited as the consultant, is the record keeper is going to track the results of those who participated in that wellness challenge. And then we're going to be able to determine how much further along the path to wellness are those participants who took that challenge versus those who maybe did not. And then we can adjust and measure as necessary. So we get really excited about that.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited listening to it. Sharon, you know, when it comes to measuring success, I think Raj kind of laid out a really good example. A lot of it seems to fall on data, but how do you, as an organization, in terms of Lincoln Financial, how do you measure financial wellness success?
So it's really a four-pronged approach. The first is participation rates, and I don't mean the actual participation rate of the retirement plan, but who's using the financial wellness tool? What other action is it driving? Are they setting up a meeting to meet with a retirement consultant? Did they increase their contribution rate? And then taking specific actions or setting up a to-do. And we can feed that information back to the employer, and it helps us really tweak and tailor the campaigns to drive utilization, which drives better behaviors. The second is you have to look at your other benefit program KPIs, because financial wellness measures things like debt, savings, protection, and income. So if you're looking at protection and, look at what's happened to us over the last year plus, where, folks have needed certain types of medical care, and instead of going to their retirement plan, maybe it would have been helpful if they had bought up disability insurance or use their hospital indemnity plan. So really helping employers think about that holistically. And then in addition, you can't define success if you're not measuring it. So one of the other things that we encourage the employers to do is to take a pre-survey before the launch of the financial wellness program, and then a monthly survey, pulse surveys we call them, to test what folks are or are not getting out of the program. And then last but not least, having champions at the plan sponsor is absolutely critical, and talking to those champions at the employer so that we can get, basically directly from them what they're hearing from their employees.
Rosh, it's really a really good path there. Just last question to you. What do plan sponsors look at in terms of a solution? It sounds like it's a multi-pronged approach. You've got the phone, you've got the web, you've got the adherence, reliance on data. But what's that solution look like to employers?
Yeah, I'm going to approach this a little bit differently, Jeff, in the sense of it's really the art meeting the science in our industry, right? And so that solution, just like how you price business or just like how you build fund lineups, it's not really a one size fits all. However, I think to answer that, it's going to be plan sponsors, no matter who we talk to, whether they're ERISA, non-ERISA, they want easy to understand content. They say, make this simple. And so much of our content in our industry is written by financial professionals for financial professionals. Make it simple. No matter who we talk to, whether it's on the corporate side or the public side, near retirement, early career, just make it simple and make it easy. From a product perspective, we're seeing a lot more. So this more in-plan retirement income products. We're not quite there, but we're getting there. They're coming down in price. So these products can help to preserve wealth, which can also be a key component to that wellness path that participants can be on. But as I mentioned earlier, and Sharon talked about it too, I think it's that kind of actionable. How do we make all of this information and attention, and how do we make it actionable? And you just think about your device and how easy it is with Buy It Now and some of these other websites. When you go, why can't retirement saving be that easy, right? Where it's just save now. If I'm reading an article on the Morning Post and it says, it's about wellness, and somehow there's an algorithm that's built that then takes me to increase my contribution. Smarter people than me can figure out how to do that. But the action or the attention to action, that gap, the struggle is real, Jeff.
Yeah. Oh, the struggle is real. And you're right, jargon gets in the way a lot of that. Guys, we're going to have to leave it there. Really great conversation. Look forward to picking it back up again very soon. Rosh Kusino, Sharon Scanlon, thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest, someone you think we should talk to, drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the information in retirement markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. We're back again tomorrow, so until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a tax doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.